Today, I've decided to offer a tarot reading for the collective energy, like I used to do, just going back to basics. And I'm going to do it live today rather than the way I usually do it, which was to pull the cards, bring forward the information, and then share it after the fact. So let's see what we get. I'm going to pull three cards, just general spread, no specific positions. Okay. Very interesting. I pulled the King of Wands or the Father of Wands, the Star, and Judgment. And for the sake of expediency, I might remove some of the pauses just for full disclosure. I might edit them out. But the first feeling that I get from this spread, generally speaking, is that as a species, the human race is moving very, very quickly, is acting from a place of hierarchy, is very deep within our power, particularly in the West. And I think that's going to accelerate this week, not only in terms of the wars that we are experiencing right now. I think those wars, sadly, are going to accelerate this week in some way, but also our move toward peace. So at the same time, the move toward war is going to accelerate, and the move toward peace is going to accelerate. And so what that feels like to me is two sides, opposing sides in a way, coming up against one another. And that feels like the side that is seeking expansion and ascension and growth and evolution, and the side that is stuck in the current material reality, the limitations of this reality, not seeing beyond the scope of power and material excess. And that to me represents the governments that we're dealing with. And then the other side, the side that is seeking expansion and ascension, are the people who are under those governments. So people like you and me who are forced to endure what the people that we've put into power force us to endure with very little say in the matter. But it feels like this week that is going to shift. It may just be internally, it may be a move toward shifting. It may not be an actual incident that shows the shift, but that there is a coming equality between the leaders and the followers, so that there is no longer a need for leader and follower, but rather there is a place of utopian expansion where there are no wars and there's no need to have an underling and an overling, are the words I hear. The next card I pulled was the Star, as I told you. And that to me really signifies a move toward healing those divides that have been built up. And it feels like this week there may be some kind of environmental issue that we are asked to face. Maybe it will be a weather event. Maybe it will be a new discovery about some kind of metal or mineral, or maybe it will be something about the magnetic field, but something environmental might occur that brings about a shift in the desire to find peace and healing and to move out of the divisions that cause war. And then the final card is the Judgment card. And to me, this veers away from the meaning of the Judgment card, that the typical meaning that you will come across if you study tarot. And it means more to me in this particular sense that as we move toward this shift and growth, we will look to something else to call upon when we need help and assistance in our material day to day. And that feels like God. It feels like God is going to, in some way, not that God isn't already an enormous factor in human civilization, but in some way, a new way of looking at God, a new way of asking God for help, a new way of a new understanding of God, so that this healing of divisions is guided by an energetic field that has no moral compass or moral ground, that just is, that is within all of us and outside all of us, just one enormous unitive energetic field. And we're going to connect more to that field, is what it feels like this coming week, as as we face the soldering of those divisions that have become so wide. So it's a positive energetic field for the collective this week. And again, just to recap, it feels like perhaps there will be an acceleration in some way of the warlike mentality that we seem to have completely embraced as a species. But then also there will be an acceleration of the desire for a new way of being, for forgiveness and peace, and no more power struggles and trying to take what isn't ours or take back what we think is ours, and just being in a state of oneness. So these two opposing fields are going to butt heads, perhaps. And what that will lead to is a place of healing, because we will find equilibrium. And in that state of healing this week, there may be some kind of environmental shift that could occur that reminds us of how powerless we actually are over our material world. And then, even beyond that, how our material world isn't the real world at all, but is a world that our brain creates for us so that we can survive in these bodies. And then, because of that realization, we will turn to the unitive energy, the unitive consciousness for guidance in moving forward in this new state of being. So it's an exciting week. If you enjoy my messages, please do like and subscribe, because it helps me very much. And I drop these videos every day, so feel free to come back tomorrow to see the next one. Thank you.